Hey cuties, I'm Lanikia and you're watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is Young and the Restless edition. Today is Friday. Yay! July the 15th, 2022. And all right, let's just jump right into it. On a scale of 1 to 10, y'all know how we do. I'm going to give it an 8. So we start off with Nate speaking to Lily, and he's just catching her up to date on Elena and everything that she has going in Hawaii. He said the presentation went well, and she's enjoying her life. She's going snorkeling. They're having a good time going out and everything. And Amani walks in and she says, Lily says, "Oh, Nate is just catching me up with Elena and her good time." So, Amani's like, "Oh, may I see?" And so she looks at the pictures because Nate's showing off his phone, and she says, "Oh, she has not a care in the world." And Lily says, "I'm sure she misses Nate and everything, but and we can't wait to get her over here." And so they ask Imani, Nate tells um Imani tells Lily that she was actually glad that Nate was here because he helped her so much out last night. And she said, what are you talking about?" And so Nate just goes ahead and tells her that Imani's mother had another setback, and it was actually worse than they thought it was, and that Sally had to cancel and everything on them, but it gave them Imani a chance to speak to Nate about her mom, and he just reassured her about different things, and even um, offered up a rehabilitation center that might be good for her mom to go to. And so, with that being said, they were very with that being said, Imani was very gushing over Nate and how much he just helped her out. And you could see Lily is looking, and she's giving like the side eye, like, what? Okay, so Nate helped and everything. And she says, "I'm surprised that you were not able to go ahead and get Elena out of that contract, because Amanda doesn't have a hard time with this." And Imani is just like, "Oh, I'm taking over, but it shouldn't be difficult at all. I'm just we just need to sit down and meet with Sally and everything." She reassures um Lily that she will be able to get Elena out of the contract. And so then Nate has to leave, and Imani and Lily talk, and Imani says, Lily just apologizes for Imani for, not knowing everything that she was going through and focusing on so much of the contract with trying to get Elena out and putting pressure on. And Imani is just like, "No, no, it's fine. I'm gonna do my best to get her out. I know we're under pressure to deliver those podcasts and everything." And she said, "But I'm gonna help." And then she says, they talk about her mom, and she says, she told Amanda she could stay longer, that she had it under control there. And so that's it with them. So then we see then we see Nate and Imani. Actually, she's at the Crimson Light, and she's on the phone with Lily, and they do decide to go ahead and send her mom to the rehabilitation center because it'll be the best care for her with all the care that she needs. And so Nate overhears this conversation, and he talks to Imani, and she just tells him how she's thankful that he talked her through this, and they're getting her mom the help and everything. And she told Amanda she could stay longer. And she just leans in on Nate and just hugs him and everything. And Nate kind of looks at her, but he hugs her back and or whatever. But we all know what Imani is really doing. As far as, yes, I think she's concerned about her mom, but Imani really wants Nate, and so she's using this to her advantage as well. So then we see Summer and Kyle. So Summer and Kyle are out and about, and they meet up with Chelsea. And when they meet up with Chelsea, she actually tells them that she won't be able to take over Marchetti for them, because her mental health issues. She wants to just focus on getting better and healthy and well, because she had a lot of personal things going on, and they're disappointed, but they completely understand. And she says, "Actually, they said if we can do anything to help, let us know." And she says, "Actually, I'm working on that now." And so they look up and they see Billy. So Billy sits down and he talks to them, and he talks to Summer and Kyle, one about, he and Chelsea are starting this podcast, but another thing about how, he's the king of second chances, and he's rooting for Diane. And he said, but don't discount, like, Diane put Phyllis through a lot as well. So don't discount like what, Phyllis has to also be the bigger person, because Diane was, she put her through a lot. And Kyle says, we're aware. So Kyle and Summer just thank Billy for being neutral and everything. But then they get a text message and they have to rush off. So that gives Billy and Chelsea time to talk, and they end up going to the studio to pod. And she tells him her podcast idea is for she and he to be very honest about the type of people that they used to be, a con artist and a gambler. And she says she feels like it'll connect people to the podcast more as well. And he's like, okay, I'm all in for it. So then he gets a call. Billy gets a call from Lily, and she tells him, hey, remember you were supposed to be doing this thing. You were going to take this thing off my plate for me, work related to soap. And he's like, yeah, I remember. I'll be able to do it or whatever. And she says also, she was like, okay. And he says, me and Chelsea and I are in the studio, and we're working on, some ideas for the podcast and all that. And she was like, okay. And he was like, all right, I love you. And before she can even finish saying how I love you, and she actually had one more thing she wanted to talk to him about, Billy has already hung up the phone on Lily. And so she's like, wow. And so then Chelsea is just like, hey, if you need to go, because I know you're, a COO, that's cool. We can always meet up later. And he says, no, I want to keep going while it's hot. So let's do a pod or whatever. And I said, Billy, please don't mess this up for yourself. Like, please don't do it. So then we go to Michael and Nikki. So Michael and Nikki are meeting, and she just tells him, I found another investigator, and he's gonna dig up stuff from Diane. And he said, my person, they found that Diane was telling the truth when he said the person he hired in LA. And she says, yeah, but they didn't dig deep enough. She said, I'm sure we're going to unearth something about Diane. And he says, well, I don't know, because he says he asked Diane to help him, remember, to trap um, Ashlyn if he comes around Harrison, so that they can file the restraining order, like they can place it in effect. I mean, it's already in effect, but so that they can actually say that Ashlyn violated the restraining order. If she sees Ashlyn around Harrison, to let them know. Just let him do it so that they can say he violated the restraining order. And he says Diane wasn't interested in that. And Nikki said, well, that's a smart decision. And she told him, why would you put Harrison in jeopardy like that? That doesn't even make sense. Well, it was your husband who came up with the idea, ma'am, so talk to him. But anyway, so he's like, I don't think she's gonna do it. But then we see that Harrison does see um Ashlyn in the park. Now, Ashlyn had been in the park earlier, and he spoke to Phyllis, and Phyllis said, you are spiraling. What are you still doing here? Nobody wants you here. And he says, y'all are so hypocritical and judgmental here. Y'all have done some terrible things, but people forgive you, but you can't forgive someone else. And she says, well, I mean, you're different. What you've done is different. And she says, you're spiraling. And I know that feeling when you're going out of control. She says, so, you know, just watch yourself. And so she leaves. And when she leaves, he's in the park, and someone comes up to him and says, Father, and it's Harrison. And so he spends time with him, and Diane says, why don't I go and get some Italian ice, and you stay here? And so Ashley is like really thanking Diane, because he's like, thank you so much for it. But Diane remembers what Michael asked her to do. And guess what? She does exactly that. She texts Michael, and she lets Michael know that Harrison is in the park and Ashlyn is there too. Michael gets this text message, and he tells um, Nikki, and so they race off to the park, and they call the police on the way as well. So then we see, so that is when Diane, she tells everything. And so not only do they do that, the text message earlier that Kyle and Summer received was from Michael telling them, hey, Ashlyn is with Harrison. We've already called the police. So Diane put all this into motion. I didn't think she would do this. I thought she would just get Harrison away, but I guess she wants to, because Michael said a lot of people would be thankful for you doing this. So I guess she wants to try to get on good terms with people. So she went ahead and betrayed Ashlyn, who's been a friend to her. They've been actually a friend to each other. So then we see Harrison and Ashlyn are in the park, and Ashlyn looks up and he sees Nikki and Michael, and he tells and then he looks back and he sees Diane, and he tells Diane, Harrison, why don't you go and eat the Italian ice with your Dee Dee? So she leaves and he goes with the Dee Dee, and Ashlyn gets up, and Michael and Nikki are walking towards him, and he puts his hand up like to stop them, and he's about to go the other way, and Kyle and Summer walk up on him, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" So Ashlyn is essentially, he's about to be busted for violating the restraining order. And that's what happened on Young and the Restless today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you on another episode on Monday. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Be safe. And again, I'll see you on another episode for what happened on the soaps, Young and the Restless Monday. Bye.